Good morning, children. Today, I'm going to discuss with you History Chapter 2, the Egyptian Civilization. But before that, let me discuss with you few key words related to history. Children, up to class 5th, you studied social studies, but in class 6 and onwards, social studies is divided into three parts: history, geography, and civics. Here we are dealing with history. Children, in simple language, we can say that history is the study of the past. It is derived from Greek word historia, meaning inquiry, knowledge acquired by investigation. History tells us the story of our ancestors, their lifestyles, occupations, customs, traditions, religious beliefs, social and political system, and cultural patterns. It also tells us about their problems, their aspirations, as well as their achievements. Children, historians are people who study and tell us about the past. Children, you need to understand that the study of past is divided into two parts: history and prehistory. As we discussed, history is a record of places, and events of the past arranged in chronological order. Whereas prehistory is the history of the period before writing was invented. As the name indicates, pre means before. Prehistory is the history of the period before writing was invented. There are no written clues or records of this period. Our knowledge of prehistory is based mainly on archaeology. Archaeology means the study of the material remains of the distant past. It is also referred to as the digging up of the past, since many of these ancient remains have been found buried under the earth. Prehistory is studied and reconstructed with the help of archaeological remains such as bones, coins, tools, jewelry, ruins of buildings, etc. Now the next is sources. Children's sources means the clues from archaeology or literature, which helps historians to put together a period of history. Mainly, the historians reconstruct the past or reconstruct the story of the past with the help of the different sources, which are mainly of two types: archaeological sources and literary sources. Archaeological sources means the remains of the past. They were dug up centuries later by archaeologists. Archaeological sources are mainly of three kinds, like monuments, objects, coins, inscriptions. And literary sources means the written records, the books. The literary records of the past in the forms of the books are known as manuscripts. These records were written on a variety of surfaces such as dried sheep or goat skin, dried palm leaf, the bark of birch trees, and later on paper. Like children, you know about the story of Ramayana and Mahabharata through the written records, through the books. Now the next term is inscriptions. Inscriptions means the engravings or the writings on solid objects such as metal surfaces, stone tablets, rocks, pillars, cave walls, etc. Next term is civilization. Civilization refers to an advanced state of human society containing highly developed form of government, culture, and common social norms. Children, like early man, was not civilized, as there were no family bonds, no rules and regulations to live. But as the man developed, and with the passage of time, man became civilized. He started living a settled and civilized life. Next term is excavations. Excavation means digging, digging of the earth, the ground. especially when something specific is being removed from the ground. The archaeologists use this method to study about the past. Children, in this class, we will study about the four ancient civilizations. They are the Mesopotamian civilizations, the Egyptian civilization, the Harappan civilization, and the Chinese civilization. The special feature of these four civilizations was that they all developed on river banks, and there were many reasons for that. First one was there was abundant water supply to support large settlements. Second reason was that land was fertile and crops grew in plenty, giving people adequate free time to devote to creative activities and other occupations. Children rivers also acted as means of transport to carry humans and goods from one place to another. As a result, trade increased, leading to the growth of towns and cities. As you can see in the map, children, Egypt is a large country located in the eastern part of the Sahara Desert in North Africa. The Valley of Nile is a narrow strip of fertile land stretching throughout the length of the country. And if you see the map, the country is bordered by the deserts on the east, west, as well as the south. And the Mediterranean Sea lies to the north of the Egypt. Children, these deserts from the three sides, they served as a natural barriers to foreign invasions. Invasion means attacks. Because of these deserts, the invaders never tried to enter in Egypt. So the early Egyptian settlers enjoyed many years of freedom from attack during which they could build a society of their own. Children, ancient Egypt, like other early civilizations, developed in the river valley, the valley of the river Nile. The river Nile had a major influence in the development of the Egyptian civilization. Or you can say that the river Nile played an important part in the development of the Egyptian civilization. And there were many reasons for that. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus called Egypt the gift of the Nile, means because of the river Nile, the Egypt flourished, the civilization flourished, because every year, without fail, the river would overflow its banks, transforming the entire valley into a vast lake. And when the waters receded, they left behind a deposit of black, fertile soil along each bank, which helped them to grow crops easily. Secondly, the Nile also served as a national highway and the chief transportation channel. Third, this enabled the Egyptians to develop trade relations with other countries. And the last but not the least, the Nile provided water for irrigation as well as for drinking. Now let's discuss the kingdom and the king. Children, archaeological excavations and inscriptions have helped historians to reconstruct the history of ancient Egypt. The history of ancient Egypt is mainly divided into three periods. The Old Kingdom, approximately from 3000 to 2000 BCE, the Middle Kingdom, approximately from 2000 to 1700 BCE, and the New Kingdom, approximately from 1600 to 1100 BCE. Children, the Egyptian kingdom was ruled by pharaohs. Pharaohs means the rulers. The pharaohs had absolute power over the subjects because the people believed that pharaohs descended from God and they were also worshipped as gods. The people believed that pharaohs were the representative of God on earth. Pharaohs means the Egyptian rulers. In simple language, you can say that the Egyptian rulers were known as pharaohs. Now let's discuss the main characteristics of the Egyptian civilization. In that, we will first discuss about the town planning. how their towns were established, made. The Egyptian cities were planned based on proximity to a water source. Proximity means they settled down near the water sources because they needed water for agriculture, for themselves, for their cattle. And as you know, the water also served as a main source of transport. Cities were divided into upper and lower regions. There were two types of buildings in ancient Egypt: dwelling houses and public buildings. Dwelling houses means children individual houses, the houses of the different families. And public buildings means the buildings which were used by all the people of the civilization. The first is dwelling houses. Dwelling houses were built around the crossing of two major roads and were made of sun-baked bricks. An average house had three rooms, a courtyard, and a kitchen area. The windows were placed high up, close to the ceiling, to keep out the sun and let the daylight enter. To keep out the sun means because Egypt is situated in the desert and there is too much heat. So, in order to keep the heat out of the house, they used to place the windows higher. Next is public buildings. The layout of public buildings like temples was basically symmetrical. The public buildings were better planned and surrounded by high walls. The next is architecture and engineering. The Egyptians built a number of magnificent buildings. The best two specimens of their architecture are the Great Pyramids and Sphinx. First one is the Great Pyramids. Children, pyramids are huge structures of stone. They were royal tombs in which the Egyptians kept the body of their dead kings. This is a picture of the Great Pyramid at Giza, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. It was built by the pharaoh Khufu. It was built with more than 20 lakh blocks of limestones, which were cut and fitted into the shape of a pyramid. Children, one of the important features of these pyramids was that, along with the preserved dead body of a pharaoh, food, wine, clothes, furniture, jewelry, and weapons were put into the tombs because the Egyptians believed in the life after death. They believed that the dead person would need these things in his next life. The second one is Sphinx. It is an architectural marvel of ancient Egypt. It is a mythological figure with the body of a lion and the head of a human. It is carved out of a single block of stone. And the third one is society. The Egyptian society was divided into three classes: the upper class, the middle class, the lower class. The upper class consisted of the royal family, rich landowners, high ranking priests, government officials, and doctors. The middle class consisted of merchants, manufacturers, craftspeople, and the lower clergy. The lower class consisted of the peasants. And the bottom of the social ladder were the slaves who were mainly prisoners of war. About their family life, the families were close-knit groups. The relationship between husband, wife, and children were usually close. The father was the head of the family, and women were treated with respect and their property rights were protected. The boys were sent to school and the girls stayed at home and learned housework. Wealthy families lived lives of luxury and pleasure. Regarding food, bread made from wheat and beer made from barley formed the staple diet of the people. They also ate vegetables, fruits, meat, and dairy products. With this, we come to the end of today's session. Next week, I will discuss with you the remaining topics of this chapter. Children, now your assignment for this week is to write down the question answers given in the PDF in your history register and learn them. I hope you have already done the question answers of chapter 1. Children, learn the question answers of chapter 1 also. And if you have any doubt regarding chapter 1 or chapter 2, so you're free to ask. Thank you and take care.